Hi, my name is Angelica Villardo from BS Scream 4 Block B. And today, we will going to tackle about forensic ballistic. The word ballistics from Greek is balo or balain, which means to throw. Kanang imong ilabay or ilabay or labayon, imong ilabay. And also ballistic is also called ballista from Roman war machine. It means it is a gigantic bow or catapult which was used to hurt a large objects such as stones at a particular distance to deter animals or enemy. So, morning catapult, and the catapult is muna mga ginagamit sa taga-Rome or Roman o ang mga dagkong bato mo ilang gamiton para ilabay sa ilang kalaban or mga animals nga gusto sila atakon. And then, ballistics means it is a science of motion of projectile. When we say motion, muna siya ang mga lihok. Kaya natay, to look at different type of motion. And first is direct motion. Second is rotary motion. Third is what we call this, translational motion. When we say direct motion, it is a forward motion of the bullet. Diretso ang tama sa bala dito sa target. So, ang tawag ana is direct motion. Next, rotary motion. It is an action of a bullet passing through a rifled bore barrel firearm. So, napa siya motion nga while ga-travel siya is naga-rotate or tuyok ang iyang lihok labi na sa mga kanang rifled bore firearms. Like example, M16 or caliber 45. Then, take note, kini sila kanima M16 o caliber 45 is ang mga firearms nga naay lance and grooves. Makita na nimo dito sa sulod sa imong basta ako na siya ito niya. Then lahi po tong smoothbore like shotgun. Mauto sila ang mga walay no riflings and no lance and grooves. So if kana sila kanang shotgun, if layo na ang imong target ana, then dili gid na siya dili gid na siya nimo maigo. Then also last part is the translational motion. The action of the bullet once it hits the target and subsequently ricochet, then once daw kuno ang bala nga imo nang maigo dito sa target, ang tawag na ana is translational motion. Then, when we say projectiles means na ay motion if we use instruments like firearms. Then there are two types of projectiles, the metallic object and the non-metallic objects of firearms. However, the ballistic had four branches, and these are the internal ballistic, transition ballistic, external ballistic, and lastly the terminal ballistic. They are four branches of ballistic. When we say internal ballistics, it is the study of the processes originally accelerating the projectile. Naay motion of projectiles while it inside the firearm like pulling the trigger. So if you pull the trigger, di naay mga frictions, ignitions, and energy nga ma-create sulod sa firearms. Next, translation ballistic. This is the study of the projectile's behavior when it leaves the barrel and the pressure behind projectile is equalized. So, pasabot nga, if kamulo daw kuno ang kaning bala, pagawas dito sa katong path nga iyang giagian or gidaganan is naa daw kuno changes nga mahitabo. Next is external ballistic, the study of the passage of the projectile through space or the air. Space or the air. So, once daw kuno namugawas na ang bala dito sa firearm, ang tawag na ani is external ballistic. And lastly, terminal ballistics. So, terminal ballistic is the study of the interaction of a projectile with its target. So, it means it deals with the effect of the impact of projectile on the target. So, ito na yung tumama na ang bala doon sa target. At saka, doon natin malaman kung gaano ba ang impact ng firearms pagkatama doon sa tao or target. Now, punta tayo sa theory of ballistics muna, where the scientific study of the propulsion and motion of projectiles such as bullets, artillery, rockets, and guided missiles. And then, under of this theory is the not the drag, but this is a drag of a projectile moving head that usually divided into three parts. The bow resistance, skin friction, and the base drag. So, when we say bow resistance, o mali ang bow resistance, here. When you say bow resistance it is due to air pressure at the head of the projectile. So mo ni ang head of the mo ni ang head sa bala, and then pag mo travel ni siya dito pa doon sa iyang direction is maka-create ni siya og air pressure. And then this is the skin friction. Mo ni siya ang skin friction sa bala. So pag moingon tag skin friction is skin friction is caused by the friction of air moving along. The skin friction is caused by the friction of air moving along the middle portion of the body. So diri is pag kani mag-travel pud siya like sa iyang path nga giyang giyagan is naapoy friction nga mabuo while siya ga lihok. Pag mag-travel is nagyapon siya friction. While the base drag is due to the under pressure and disturbance of the air behind the base. So, money mo bullet, and then very dapit nga part is money imong base. And now, we have also the pioneers in the study of force and projectiles. So, natin mga person nag-study of force and projectiles. So, money sila si Galileo, Newton, and Leibniz. So they were established the principle of dynamics and the methods of calculus. So ilan ning gistudihan to help the rapid development of external ballistics. So then also Galileo and Newton they were both interested the force called air resistance. Okay, Galileo and Newton nag-interested po sila about sa air resistance, and that now usually called aerodynamic drags, not drags but drags, which reduces the speed of projectile. And also in 1707, Cassini, usa ni siya ka astronomer who suggested about measuring firearms muzzle velocity. Next, we were going to discuss to the first branch of ballistic, the interior ballistic, where kini siya is nag-study of about motion of projectiles within the gun barrel from the release of the firing pin to the moment the sound of the shoot can be heard as it leaves the muzzle. So, once nga ang bala mugawas na or napabuto na ang bala dito sa puzzle, and then natin magdungog nga sound, mo na siya ang interior ballistic, and it involves the number 1, ignition of the primer. When we say ignition of the primer, so pagpabuto nimo sa imong armas, paggawas sa bala ana, ang iyang primer is medyo musiga or mo ignite. So natay makita nga something na musiga. Number 2 is flames is produced. Na ang uban na bala is makita ta, ang uban na ay murag kalayo to makita. Then third is combustion of the gunpowder, kanang makita nato nga naay gaaso pag magpabuto tas armas mo na ang combustion of the gunpowder, mga powder nga nigawas from the bullet. So dili din na siya kanang asong-aso, panday na siya kanang powder mga nga nigawas sa bullet. And the number 4 is energy that is generated. So na energy nga na-act or produce to the impact of its motion of projectile. Next, number 5, force or pressure develop. Syempre, paggawas sa bala na ay pressure nga mo gawas or ma-create padulong sa iyang padulngan sa bala. And the number 6 is velocity of the bullet, which it means that mao ni ang kakusugon sa usa ka bullet sugod sa chamber padulong sa iyang muzzle. And the number 7 is the rotation of the bullet. What it means that while ga-perform or galihok ang bala, na ay rotation nga na-create or ma-create tungod sa pressure nga na-develop pod sa bala. Na-develop pod sa bala. And the number 8 is the engraving of the cylindrical surface of the bullet. So, pag nigawas na ang bala o nag-create og ignition, then ang bala is naanay marka. But it depends to the firearms if naa siya lance and grooves. Again, interior ballistic involves the following. Number 1, ignition of the primer. Number 2, flames is produced. Number 3, combustion of the gunpowder. Number 4, energy is generated. Number 5, force or pressure developed. Number 6, velocity of the bullet from the chamber to the muzzle. And number 7, rotation of the bullet. Number 8, engraving of the cylindrical surface of the bullet. And also, interior ballistics has a related terms that which also important to remember. Number 1 is the action, where it refers to the mechanism of a firearm, and also where it is part of the firearm that loads, locks, fires, and eject a cartridge. Next is the burning rate, an arbitrary index of the quickness that burning propellant changes into gas, and controlled by the chemical composition, the size and shape of the propellant grains, and pressure at which the burning takes place. So, mauning iyang tendency kung unsa kadali makainit ang usa ka material or ang iyang propellant composition. Next, number 3, bulk density means the ratio of the weight of a given volume of powder versus the weight of the same volume of the water. So diri is kung unsa ang weight sa powder na naas bala is the same lang sa ratio pod sa tubig. And number 4 is the chamber pressure. The pressure generated within the chamber erroneously called breach pressure. Pasabot kung unsa ang mga na-generate or nahimo nga force or impact sa chamber, ang tawag na ana is breach pressure. And makita ang breach around sa firing pin or at the end of the barrel. Next, number 5, charge weight to bullet weight ratio. This is the ratio of the weight of the powder charged to the weight of the projectile. So dire gina-estimate lang kung unsa kadaghana ang powder sa bala para ana nga firearms. And the number 6 is detonation. It is a chemical rearrangement of molecules into gas instead of solids to cause the high explosive to exert full power of shock. So kasagara ang mga magbuhat ani is katong mga bomb experts. Sila ang tig-detonate sa mga bomba nga wala ng buto or sila ang tig-experiment sa mga bomba. So next, number 7 is energy, which measured in foot pounds. Ang kasagara ani is mga expert like also in the army, ang mga engineering nila ang magamit sa mga dagko nga mga equipment na pang gera or kahit dili pang gera, kabalo sila mo estimate kung pila aboton or distance ana didto sa target. And the next, expansion ratio, the ratio of the capacity of the powder chamber plus bore to the capacity of the powder chamber. So remember, plus bore mao ni katong na ay mga rifling, mga firearms na naay lance and groove like atong mga M16 or caliber 45, and mao ni kung asa taman maabot ang ilang bala sa ilang firearms o unsa ka kusog makaigo ilang firearms to the proponent. And number 9, foot-pounds, the amount of work required to raise 1 pound 1 foot high against the force of gravity. So kung unsa ka bug-aton og kakusog sa iyahang pusil, makaigo dito sa target. Next, number 10 is foot second. It is the velocity expressed in foot per second. And number 11 is gas, a fluid resulting from the combustion of gunpowder. So it means pag mugawas na ang bala dito sa firearms, then totally mo create ni siya og fluid which form into gas kanang murag gas soap ado makita pag bubuto ng pusel. And then number 12 is hang fire. Of course, when a cartridge fails to explode on time or delayed in firing. So, mauning pusil nga kung pabuto nimo, dili mo buto or dili dayon mo buto. So, that is hang fire. And number 12 is the knocking power. Means the power of the bullet which delivers a very heavy paralyzing blow that put the victim down and may then recover if the wound inflicted upon is not fatal. So mauning firearms na pag makaigo na sa target is grabe gyud ang dulot sa bala sa iyahang lawas. And then if napoy firearms nga dili na pud kay grabe kanang dili wala ra naigo ang iyang fetal kanang patyanan nga like the heart, pwede pud sa brain, ulo, and other parts of the fetal of the body nga pwede makapatay sa usa ka tawo pag maigo sa pusil. Next, 14, loading density, the ratio of the weight of the powder charged to the capacity of the powder chamber. So kung unsa kadaghan og sakto ang powder nga naas bala, din sure nga ang iyang buto o tama sa target and accurate and consistent. Then syempre dapat po dili siya expired para totally yun iyang damage. And then 15, misfire, total failure of a cartridge to discharge. So pasabot dili gyud mo buto ang pusil or dili na mo buto ang pusil or dili na makabuto kay there is something wrong na ana nga pusil, and that is misfire. Next, number 16 is the powder chamber capacity. So it means most ballistics capacity measurements is usually expressed in grains water. So diri makita kung unsa gyud ka layon kaya ni maabot sa imong pusil. And next, number 17, pressure. Outward force of gases from powder combustion against cartridge case, chamber, and bore. So, mo na siya ang pressure kung unsa ka kusog mo buto imuhang pusil. And number 18 is the sectional density, which mean the ratio of the bullet's weight to its diameter. So, kung unsa ka tas-on or asa limit makaabot imong pusil ug unsa ka impact ang dulot ani dito sa target. And number 19 is a PSI, the pounds per square inches. So used to signify the measurements of chamber pressure taken with a piezoelectric device. And number 20 is recoil, the equal and opposite reaction of the gun against the forward movement of the bullet during the explosion. And number 21 is the residual pressure, the pressure remaining in the chamber after the bullet has left the barrel. So means maka-feel pa ka og energy after nga ang bala is nigawas nas baril. And now we were moving on the second branch of ballistic, the interior ballistics, where kung asa ang bala is nigawas nas firearms. And the exterior ballistics had conditions. Under its conditions are velocity, energy, yaw, and gyroscopic action. And later, ako na siyang i-discuss one by one. So, when we say velocity, it is the speed of unit of time. Pasabot ang kapaspas sa usa ka bala once nga nigawas na siya sa firearms. And that is called velocity. Next is energy, the fatal equivalent. Energy is ang kakusog sa firearms or ang impact niya pagbuto sa firearms. And that is the energy. Iyang kakusog. And third condition is yaw, the unstable rotating motion of a bullet. So, pasabot, bago siya mugawa sa pusil, naa siya movement nga nabuhat. Dili siya steady iyang travel, but naay rotary motion. And last is the gyroscopic action. It refers that to the stillness of its rotating motion and attain its highest momentum or stability in flight and penetrating power. So, pasabot aning gyroscopic action is kakayahan sa bala nga mag-steady lang while siya ga-travel in the air. So, again, the interior ballistic conditions are velocity, energy, yaw, and gyroscopic action. Next, in the interior ballistics, iyahang attributes and movements of the bullet after it has left the gun muzzle. So, natay 8 kabuok nga instruments and attributes. First is the muzzle blast, muzzle energy, trajectory, range, velocity, air resistance, pull of gravity, and penetration. So first, ang muzzle blast is naga-create og saba kapag pinutok na ang firearm. So pag imo na siyang ipusil, then naay noise nga atong madungog. And then when we say muzzle energy is when ang bala kamulo pagawas sa barrel, din ga-produce pud ni siya og energy or kusog. And then when we say trajectory, kung asa kutob ang bala niya is naay gravity iyahang ma-produce. And then when we say range, natay two types of range, the accurate range o maximum range. The accurate range is kung ang usa ka shooter makaya niya kontrolon ang pagpusil niya. When we say maximum range is mao ni kung unsa kalayo maka-travel ang bala, kung asa kutob siya gyud maka abot ang bala. So next sa range is velocity. It means the speed of the bullet per unit of time. So kung unsa ka paspas ang pag-travel sa bala kada segundo, sa long barrel firearm, iyang accurate distance nga makaya is 3,000 yards. And then every seconds iya pong makaya and then 1,000 to 4,000 seconds iyahang kapaspas mag-travel. And next is air resistance, kakayahan ng bullet na hindi hangin. So kasagaraan sa mga shooter, ilang i-timing nga dili hangin para ang bala is iyang pag-travel dili ma-distract or ma-change sa iyahang direction. Then next is pull of gravity. So dire is while go travel ang bala, like example gipabuton nimo siya sa taas, then ang pababaan niya is pakord pa dito nga direction kay kuan ka ng tungod sa gravity. Again, the attributes and movement of exterior ballistics are the muzzle blast, muzzle energy, trajectory, range, velocity, air resistance, pull of gravity, and penetration. And that's all for today for forensic ballistic. I hope you enjoy my video and have some new knowledge. That's all.